Hey, everybody, it's Congressman Jamie Raskin from Maryland's beautiful 8th Congressional District coming at you from my office in the Rayburn House Office Building. This is Local Hero, my favorite time of the week, and we're kicking off Juneteenth with a wonderful, amazing local hero for you, my friend Roz Pelles, who is a veteran of the civil rights movements and the worker rights movement, with a history of social justice activism going back 5 decades. Roz has lived in Montgomery County since 1986. She's currently the Assistant Director for Student Engagement and a lecturer at the Center for Public Theology and Public Policy at the Yale Divinity School with Reverend Barber. Previously, she served as Vice President of Repairers of the Breach, which is fighting for moral values of justice and fairness and the common good all across America. She advises the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, which is, of course, a continuation of the work of Dr. King. She's been in tons of significant and prominent leadership and organizing positions with the NAACP, with the AFL-CIO, with the Union Community Fund. And when I first met her, she was executive director of the National Rainbow Coalition, working for Reverend Jesse Jackson. But even with all of her national political assignments, she's stayed very active as a Montgomery County resident. She was a key member of the Montgomery County Board of Elections. She was on the Montgomery County Human Rights Commission. She was on the Montgomery County Women's Commission. She's been decorated with every award that we have. And Roz, I just wanted to make sure that we saluted you as our local hero during this Juneteenth weekend. And thank you for your great activism and your great commitment.
Thank you so much. This is indeed an honor.
So I wonder what your response has been to the tremendous backlash that we have seen to the modern civil rights movement. I mean, some of it is in explosive spectacle events like the January 6th effort to overthrow the 2020 presidential election and orchestrate a coup and a violent attack against the government. Some of it is taking place in the Supreme Court in decisions like Shelby County versus Holder, undoing the Voting Rights Act. Some of it takes place through political rhetoric and just acts of aggression against people based on their community. How do you view the moment we're in, taking the big picture of all the movements you've been involved in throughout your life?
This is serious backlash, and it's an attack on our democracy like we have not seen for a very long time. And it's a serious attack because of its context, because of where these attacks are coming from and where they're backed. And personally, I'm of two minds on this. On the one hand, I am heartbroken. I registered part of a team as a teenager, my grandfather, to vote for the first time. And so I've been in this movement and seeing some forward motion. And then so I'm heartbroken to see this go back, and it's going way back. But on the other hand, it's just strengthened my resolve and commitment to this struggle. We fought too hard to sit back and watch this democracy die. And so I think that has to be that has to be where justice-loving people are right now. We have to fight back. We have to take this country back, and we have to do it from a place of love of country and love of people in this country. And there are a lot of people who are fighting hard. There are a lot of people that need us to fight with them and for them.
You've had experience with the civil rights movement all over the country, and you've been in the Deep South. You were executive director of the NAACP in North Carolina. You've been teaching up in Connecticut, and of course, you've been living here in Montgomery County, Maryland. And I wonder if you would locate race relations, civil rights progress, where we are politically in Maryland in a national context. I mean, how do you feel about where we are?
Yeah. So that's a good question. In many ways, I consider myself personally lucky and personally able to have some of the experiences that every person in this country should have, especially living in Montgomery County. So we've got good schools that's not being suppressed, and our education is not being suppressed. We've got, good amenities. We've got a real push. We've got a ways to go, but to deal with housing and homelessness, we've got certain things in this county that is hard to locate other places. It doesn't mean that our work has been done, but it means that we're on the right road here. So as I move around the country, I am very grateful for the place where I'm located. It also means that I have to, in my county, keep pushing that we move even further, that we move for more affordable housing, that we move for better and more for the folks who live here. But I know that we are living in a place that's very different from most.
Yeah.
As I look at Mississippi, as I look at New York and Detroit and Louisville and other places, I can see there's a difference, and there's a difference that we have to, be cognizant of.
Well, I know that the Poor People's Campaign's coming back to Washington in August. I hope you will close by saying a word about that, and generally about the unfinished work that Dr. King left of trying to focus on the problem of poverty and people being squeezed out of meaningful participation in the economic and political life of the society.
Yeah. So in this country, what we're experiencing is a rise in poverty. What we have is, for low wealth, low income, and poor people, a huge number of people. Some researchers are saying 140 million people are in those three categories. So, and that's unconscionable in the richest country in the world. And so we have to keep pushing to make this country a place where everybody can live, where everybody can have a decent job. On the question of the Poor People's Campaign, it's necessary because of the situation we have today, and it's a continuation of Dr. King's work, where he talked about poverty and racism and militarism, and where he really admonished the country to do something then. And the country has not fulfilled that wish that Dr. King had, and that's why we are still working in the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. The Poor People's Campaign actually, in a couple of days, will be having a national congress here in Washington, D.C., bringing up around 1,000 folks, leaders from across the country, to come together to talk about the work that we're doing, but also to do work around policy, to visit to make congressional visits, to talk about the agenda of the Poor People's Campaign and the work and the power of that campaign. So we're looking forward to being in Washington, D.C., to talking to Congress folks, including you and others, to really talk about what our agenda is. But this is truly unfinished business in all the ways that Dr. King tried to get us to finish years and years ago.
Well, Roz, I want to thank you for a great and continuing career of social and political activism for justice and equality and progress for our people, both locally in Maryland and all over the country. Thank you for what you do, and you are our local hero for today, kicking off the Juneteenth weekend.
Thank you.